Wow. So this is a car ride and a YouTube stream. We're gonna vibe out together, and we're gonna talk about the red wave. I'm sorry, you guys. Get situated. There you go. We're gonna talk about the red wave that was promised and what we're seeing right now. So back in 2020, there was a red wave, but there was the shenanigans. There was the people who did what they did, just to say the least. We don't have to get into it. You know, if you're living under a rock, then hey, whatever. But 2020 shenanigans happened, and Donald Trump, in my opinion, was cheated out of the White House. Let it be a combination of many things. Okay. Sorry, you guys. Hold on. There you go. Let it be a combination of a great deal of many things. But Donald Trump was cheated out the White House, and that's my opinion. And everything that I say today is my opinion, and it doesn't reflect the opinions uh, and or anyone involved who co-produces on this platform or co-creates on this platform. But yeah, so the shenanigans happened, but there was so much that we didn't know as a people. Like no one knew about USAID. Shit, I didn't know about USAID. There were so many people who've done so much digging into what these horrible people have done, and no one could never, ever in their wildest imaginations think that USAID was a money laundering operation for the deep state, because basically that's what it was, right? Just laundering money to themselves. Let me put this here. This one sounds fast better. Yeah, so they were laundering money to themselves, and then the deep state would find the puppets who they were going to pick to run in races, and then they would bankroll those individuals by establishing these BS NGOs. In my opinion, they were funding George Soros. They were funding him. They were funding him on purpose. All of these boogeymen, if you look at the history of this nation, you'll find the majority of the boogeymen that we've encountered, we've created them. I don't know why we're having an issue with the. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to see because it said it says we have a low battery. But yes, most of the boogeymen that we've had, we've created them. They're our creation. We've made them. Every time somebody, some offshoot terrorist has got his hands on some type of weapon or something like that, in most cases, it was manufactured here. So people like George Soros, got their money because the United States of America gave him the opportunity to make it. That's how he got rich. So anyway, they would pay the politicians, get the politicians paid off, and then the politicians would be going in there, and everyone sings the same song. Media, the news, politicians. You go the media meaning like sitcom, but also even like look what happened. It showed you that the people on the left were being paid thousands of dollars every single month. They were getting paid thousands of dollars every single month to basically put out, whether it was pro-Democrat, pro-Israel, pro-Hamas, it doesn't matter. Everyone was being paid to do or say something. It was pro something. These people weren't going online and doing it organically. most of these people in these organizations were NGOs that were set up by the so-called deep state, and they were set up in order for the continued manipulation of the population to exist. Everyone on both sides was in on it. Why am I going this far and I'm saying this? This is the reason why the red wave didn't happen. You had people on both sides and on the right saying that Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th, unless you forgot. You had people on the right who wanted to certify the 2020 election and wanted argument about any fraudulent shenanigans or anything of the such. Like, there were people who were on the right that were against Donald Trump even trying to say, sorry, there were people against Donald Trump even trying to say in any way, shape, or form that it was election interference. And now you see, everybody see there was election interference, and still you don't see the media talking about it. And you don't see still both sides hammering on it. Because if that's the case, then James Comey would have been indicted for interfering with the 2020 election. He firsthand, he did it. He if there's ever a face of someone who did something bad, James Comey faces the face. If they meant to, if they meant to worry about the integrity of the elections, they would have charged James Comey. Excuse me. They would have charged James Comey for election interference as well, because he interfered with the election. So what are we seeing now? A lot of you guys are screaming Epstein, 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 Epstein. You know, for the life of me, I bit down on that pill too initially. My good sense and just being real to myself, I said to myself, realistically speaking, how could I expect these people to tell me the truth about an encounter with Jeffrey Epstein, and and the government can't tell me the truth on how they've created a pathogen and allowed it to be let loose? If this phone dies, you guys, I will be going live on my other device. So if this dies, just don't worry about it. We'll continue the show because we're not done. I'm gonna go on the mall. I want to get me something real quick. I'm gonna see if they're still open because I want a smoothie. So we're gonna go in here and stream together. But if it dies, we're gonna reopen it. We're gonna go back in. Yeah. So I bit that pill too, right? And I thought about it for a while. Like, yeah, why they not charging? Why they not going after these people who Jeffrey Epstein was CIA, and he was Israeli intelligence. And why would I expect the United States of America to admit that they let a man rape children, women, and men and boys and get away with it in order to compromise world leaders and put them in compromising situations so they could blackmail them? When this same government has continuously unleashed pathogens on its population. And I'm not joking. This is not something that's like, oh, he's joking. It only happened once. There are so many different situations or stories, factual stories of the doing harmful things to its own citizens. They're doing it now still with chemtrails. There's no world, I would honestly say, I would expect them to say, yeah, we let him do that. Of course they did. But for everyone who's biting that pill still, why are you doing that when they already covered all of their tracks? Yes, Donald Trump was not involved in it. But whether you like it or not, the compromise was him sweeping a lot of that shit under the rug so they could get certain people out of place. And so And so, excuse me, y'all. And so he can get certain people out of place, and so he could move forward without really trying to say he's going to destroy the whole political base. Because in the whole Republican Party too, not all of them, but the majority of them people, they're going to have to go to jail too. I know some people are going to say, "Oh, we don't like it," whether they were there for kids or whatever they're there for women or whatever they're there for men or whatever little freaky, dirty, nasty shit that they was doing, they already could get away with it anyway. And let me explain why. People in Congress, they have a fund. They have a fund that pays off um, lawsuits and DWIs, and they can't really catch a case. It's hard for them to be convicted of something. It's gonna have to be like bribery or something that's like affecting office. But they're degenerates. These people they owe everybody. They have DUIs. I mean, everything you can think of. But they also have funds that pay off people, that pay off lawsuits and all of that shit. It's all swept under the rug. That's the reason why you're not going to also find out about their interactions with Jeffrey Epstein anyway. Now, what this did was this. It allowed the government to take back control from the deep state, because the deep state had these things as instruments to manipulate, control, to force people to do things a certain way, or they was being blackmailed. And now all of this information is pretty much taken away from these people, and they're not really able to do what they was doing before. Some people was like, I don't care, and trust me, I get it. I totally understand, but I'm going to say something, and I believe it's going to make more sense than not. Why do you care about something that they've taken and wiped the floor with clean, when the last time they tampered with everybody, it was during COVID? The last time they tampered with everybody, it was during COVID. That's the last time they tampered with everybody. That's the last time everybody can say something was done to them and we have a grievance. So y'all asking for the files to be released on Jeffrey. Why y'all not asking for the files to be released on COVID? Why aren't you guys out there asking for the files on COVID? Why aren't you guys asking for Dr. Fauci to be brought in front of Congress and to be asked specific questions, so he would have to answer and say, yes, I created it? Because he can't lie. Why isn't that the loudest scream and fight as far as us? Like, why aren't we doing that? Tell me if I'm wrong. I get it. Everyone, wants to know about Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was CIA. He was Israeli intelligence. He was CIA, and they did all kind of horrible shit to manipulate world leaders. They did that the same way they still are flying chemtrails over your ear. It's the same thing. There's no way that you're gonna sit here and feel like you're surprised, or you shouldn't be, because there's too many instances where factual stories show the United States of America did horrible things to its own citizens. So I'm not willing for them. I'm not waiting for them to tell me what we already know about Jeffrey Epstein. And again, I don't like that Donald Trump is allowing people to get away with it. But this is their way of taking back the information from the deep state, so they can no longer be manipulated, because they were manipulating elected officials, putting their own elected officials in office. I have to go to Whole Foods and see if they're making smoothies there, because the smoothies here are, are out. But every single last one of us can demand an investigation into COVID, can demand an investigation into Dr. Fauci. It doesn't matter if he was pardoned or not. We can demand that he is brought in front of Congress and he discloses every single step and admits to every single lie. And the people who did not receive a pardon, that assisted him, that should have known ethically that this was wrong and refused to say anything, and refuse to act on anything are the people who should be prosecuted until we could finish dealing with the damn auto pen. Because at least, assuming that the auto pen fails, assuming that that fails, because it's like a 75% chance that the auto pens can't get touched, right? Let's just say it. Let's just say they can't get touched. If if this son of a you know what gets to still walk around free after so many people were harmed, after all of the heinous things. I mean, this kind of evil, they don't make, there isn't a supervillain. Dr. Fauci makes the fucking Joker look like a babysitter. Dr. Fauci makes the Joker look like a babysitter. For real, man. There isn't that much of evil on this planet. And it's just concentrated in one form. It's just, he's a sick, evil person. And he should be brought to justice. And then the people should be allowed to then go after him. He's not protected from any kind of lawsuits. Bring him out, force him to admit to his crimes, and although he may have been pardoned of anything criminally, he still is financially liable. Or what happened to the OJ case? He was found not guilty of murder, but they still said that he was liable for the crime, and they still sued him. We need to get answers on Dr. Fauci, on COVID, everyone responsible, those who helped him cultivate it inside of whatever location it was. We need information on the people at the top who knew, who said it was okay. We want the whole conspiracy out in the open and exposed. And I know, again, I get it. I understand. A lot of people want Jeffrey Epstein brought to justice. Yeah, I want, well, not, he's gone, but a lot of y'all want, for, excuse me, a lot of y'all want for, for the list to be put out there and for, people to be indicted. And I'm just going to tell you outright, I want the same thing, but it's not going to happen. So instead of me being upset because I'm not getting something that I want, I'm going to find what I can get, and I'm going to try my best to get that. Right now, as a people, we should be trying to find out everything we can about COVID-19. Big media already had to come out and say that they were forced by the United States government to censor factual information on COVID-19. And we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our children, we owe it to the future. But most importantly, we have to make sure that the people who were involved that were not pardoned are held accountable, and that this don't happen again. You're not going to get the information. I would love to have the information, but we all know who was there. They're the same people who are coming out now, who are all kind of praising Donald Trump. Whether it's Obama, the Clintons, these are the people who are doing it now. And politics is a dirty game. I'm sure a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people, but the truth of the matter is, when Jeffrey Epstein was initially charged, he paid off the majority of his victims. So there are people who were not called to testify. The government at the time, that government at the time, whatever administration that was, definitely helped hide it. So it was the Bush Obama era that, gave this guy a slap on the wrist for the things that he did. And it's because it was a creation of our own government. And you just gotta just really be honest with yourself and just, you gotta be honest with yourself. Like, and you gotta try to at least put in or try to fight to put in barriers to make sure that stuff like that don't happen again. That's crazy. To compromise people, you would seek through creating countless victims. And then, in my opinion, they unalived that poor young girl, and I think it was Australia. I don't think that she wanted to. If that's the case, then she would have been done it a long time ago. It absolutely makes no sense that out of the blue that she would have done something like that. I think moving forward, the thing we need to worry about and focus on is making sure that what happened during COVID cannot happen again. We need any and all information about its creation, about how they tried to hide it, forced Dr. Fauci to go and admit to the cover up, his involvement. Um, Go find all the names of all of the scientists, and of course, it's compartmentalization. So they make it where certain people only know certain things, but you have to get to a point where you're at a certain level. You have to know that you're doing something nefarious. Gain of function is illegal, yet you're doing gain of function, and then you're giving samples of this thing you created to America's number one enemy. Let them tell you it's Russia. It's not Russia. It's not Russia. But let them tell you that. Let them tell you it's Russia. It's not Russia. It's China. If they were good people, I mean, as far as like the government is concerned, I would have to say, yo, they're good people, but they're not. These governments don't have good people. You can't be a good person and be a good leader. You're gonna have to decide. You can be fair, you can be just, but some of them are not. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not Chinese. You see what it is? Social credit scores, people sleeping on the streets because they don't agree or say what they want them to say. Come on, this is madness. And it's not like we wasn't close, because we were close. We were close to having that happen here. We still are. We still are, because a lot of us are blindly arguing about a lot of stuff. And now we're not worrying about AI. We're not worrying about crypto. We're not worrying about establishing still an American dollar that is printed here, physical currency that allows you to be anonymous. Because if you're only going to rely on cryptocurrency, what happens when the lights get cut out? People are like, oh, it's blockchain, it's there forever. Yeah, what happens when the lights get cut out? What do you have physically? What do you have physically as an asset that you can say, I can go and get this? You don't. And majority of people don't know how to chop down a tree. Majority of people don't know how to make a fire. Majority of people don't know how to hunt. Majority of people in this country live in locations where there is nothing to hunt. Look, you guys, man, they make it easy for them to control you. That's what it's supposed to be. And if you really want closure, and if you really want answers, and if you really want to protect the future, then we need to be fighting for our health. That's the most important thing. I know everyone's gonna be mad at me when I say this. Jeffrey Epstein's island has already been exposed, and they're not gonna do nothing to the people. keep screaming that, it's not going to help anything. It's not going to do anything. But you can stop them from poisoning us. You can stop them from poisoning all of us. You can be a part of the solution. This is something we can get on now because the information